So I just released my new software, and so this is the documentation, but let's go on my website. I'm going to present the software. So this is a how-to video, but I'm just going to show you first the website so you can know how to buy it. So right now I'm logged as someone who already bought it, and when you buy it you will have your account here. Let's put it in English, so maybe that would be easier for you to understand. So basically this software is pay what you can, so you can read that. I'm not going to read all that, but basically it's my philosophy about it. So you can choose between $3 to $200. So of course I would rather that you choose $200, euros, dollars, almost the same thing. But my recommendation is actually around that. So I think that's a price that would be a fair price regarding my own country. But if you live in a country where salary is enormous, or yourself you get a lot of money, you can pay whatever you want, so that means usually more. But if you live in a poor country, or what we consider poor, but sometimes it's just how we get paid, it's different money conversion, so it's not really poor or rich, but you can choose whatever you can basically. And so this is what this contains, but I'm going to present what it is. And so there will be a premium version, a pro version coming out later, but it's still in construction. It has, for example, the transit panel and all the calculation for eclipses and many more things, but I need to work on it later on. So what's also important is that you can actually get it for free if you want, and if you can, because you still have to do it yourself. Basically, if you want the free version, you have to go on GitHub and use your programming skills to transform this into a working a working software. But with Cloud Code it's not too hard. With Cloud Code, you actually, if you have Cloud Code installed, you can basically do that already, because it's just a one. If you have installed Cloud Code, which can be hard if you have Windows, but if you have already installed Cloud Code, you just tell him to install this and he will do it automatically, and if there's some bugs he will correct it in less than 5 minutes. What's great is that if you can do that, you can actually do more than just use the software, because the AI will be able to help you, but that's more for the hardcore user. But that's very interesting to know. I'm going to talk about that later on, but let's stay simple for now. So basically, if you haven't bought it, you buy it there. That would be much easier than going on the developing app with the source code. And it's just, if you don't have a lot of money, €3 per month, I don't think that's a lot of money. And so you then, when you have bought it, you will get to here, and you will have your subscription to right here, and you have the manual that you can read, the subscription to the website. Of course, one thing I forgot to mention is that if you pay more than 10, which is 11 euros, you will have the Explorer subscription on this website, which give access to many other things, but I'm not going to talk about that here. and you can see no, I'm not going to talk about it. It's going to be too much otherwise. So, and I already did a video about that, but it would need to be updated because I added so many things. So this is a manual which will be available only to those who actually subscribe to the more than 10 euros per month. So this is actually, you can have the manual too actually in the software, but it's not on the website. The website adds some nice things on it. Just beautiful actually. So we have the documentation. I'm not going to read it, but we may go through it at some point in a video where I explained everything if I have the time. But this would be a very long video because there is a lot of information in there, and so yeah, a lot of information. So when you download the software, you will have this access to this folder. In this folder, you can actually show it because you won't have access to it anyway, even if you have the link. So in this folder you will have a Linux version and a Windows version. So the Windows version, you download it and unzip it. Preferably you unzip it. If you don't, it may not work. From what I have seen, I actually tried it even zipped, and it seems to be working, but one of my friends may have done that and it seems it wasn't working, so I'm not sure. But in any case, it's very simple to install it. You unzip it and there is an executable, you click on it and it works. You have almost nothing to do. There is also the manual here. If you download that, you will have this, which is the same thing as on the website, but it's not as pretty. So this is the beginning. Then when you download and you execute the software, you will have this. So this is where this gets interesting. So let me present. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to present here everything because there's a lot of things. But basically you have three different views. So this is a South Indian view, and one of the most beautiful, I think, because I started to work on that first, and I wanted it to be very beautiful. So this is only one which has a dedicated background. So you can see the background is actually AI generated, if you know about that. Or the symbols are also generated by AI. That's why they are quite beautiful, and they are also integrated in the software. So it took me a lot of work to do that. And so this is the main. Then you have the most used and the most useful, I think, because I integrated so many things in this wheel, more than actually than the South Indian chart. So this is a wheel used by most people, and here you can see the planets placed into signs. So Mars is in Taurus, for example, here, Sun in Virgo, Moon in Pisces. This is the chart of Michael Jackson. So here you can see his age here, current age if he would be alive. On the left we have the Dasha, which is Vedic Astrology, and you can select the Ayanamsha here for this Dasha. So whatever you like. Usually in Vedic Circle they use Lahiri, but this is very dated, but it's still the most used one. For those who doesn't know Ayanamsha, this is basically how we calculate the Sidereal Zodiac, and the Dasha system is based on sidereal astrology, or it's supposed to be in most circles, but you can also have tropical ones, which are a bit different. So here this is the Dasha, and you have also another one on the right, which is Planetary Age, and you can actually switch it to another one which would be exactly similar to this one, but you can choose whatever you want also there. So they are independent. If you want to use both at the same time and you're not sure which one is more accurate, you can test. Or you can use Planetary Age and Maturation. So each time you open the software, it automatically highlights the current periods for the Dasha. So here you would see Michael Jackson, if he would be alive, he would be in his Jupiter Dasha here. And from this side, it would be in his Sun Planetary Age. And if there is a current maturation active, like in my chart, for example, there is one, there is my Saturn maturation, you would see this highlighted here. And I'm in my Jupiter Dasha. Let's go back to Michael Jackson. And so what I'm going to present next. So you have here the panels which give information. So here we have the Karaka, planets, Cusp Toggle, etc. I wanted to say also that this software, and I should have started by that, is meant to be used by multiple group of astrologers. So we have tropical astrology, which is the most used astrology in Western groups, in Europe, which is based on Greek astrology. And we have sidereal astrology with a shortcut here. So if you click Alt S, we have sidereal astrology. So here you see, for example, Michael Jackson would be a Leo Sun and Leo Moon. And we also have the Aditya Circle, which is my new preferred astrology, and it was revealed by my teacher about a year ago. And it's the main reason I developed this software, but this software is still able to do everything else. But that's basically what I think is the most accurate, considering what I have seen and how I have tested this. I also have a lot of research on that, and it's published on my website, most of them. But most people will for now stick to tropical astrology, normal tropical astrology, because the Aditya Circle is still tropical astrology, but you can read about that on my website. Let's keep going through the different panels. So you have the Karaka, Hora, Trimsamsa, and houses. So this section, Hora, Trimsamsa, and houses, are based on my teacher last courses. And you want to apply that to the Aditya Circle. It's specific to what my teacher is teaching. But for sake of completeness, you can also apply it to whatever zodiac you want. So even if you're in the tropical zodiac, you will see it will match the tropical zodiac, unless there is a small bug at times. So if you find the bugs, it can have still a few bugs. I try to remove them as much as possible, but there may be still a few bugs left. If you double click on each panel, you will have a full screen mode where you can read more information, or it's exactly the same thing but in full screen, but at times there is more information. So we have Karaka here, Karaka Plus, Hora, Trimsamsa graph, and planetary condition. And here we have much more information. I forgot to say that when you click on this arrow, you have an additional view which is slightly different and updated. So for example, here we have the Karaka normal, and if we click here we have the Karaka, but with the Avastha added to it, so it computes the Avastha for the Karaka. So for example, here we have Michael Jackson. Atma Karaka is Jupiter, which is Atma Karaka is a soul planet, which is a bit like the sun in itself, if you don't know what it is too much. So that would mean he's like some kind of a Jupiterian person. If we look at the state of the planet, we see that it's starved, so he may not know who he is due to this, because the Atma Karaka is a bit like the guide of who you are. So this is basically what you can do here, but there is a lot more. I'm not going to explain all that because this is way too much, but know that this exists in case you know about it. Then at the bottom we have something more easier to understand, which is the basic strength, and you can have an English version here which explains what it is. Digbala, not everyone knows what it is, but direction, you can assume that having good direction means, for example, the sun is at the top and he is doing the leadership part much more easily. So all the strengths are based on 60. The maximum is 60, and obviously the lower is 0. So we have elements, mode, and dignity. When you click on the arrow, you have more information, or you have different view. For example, here you have the yoga, which give you, for example, here we have dual. So someone who have a lot of dual sign, you can read the yoga, what this give, like a personality, or what can manifest from that. For the dignities, when you click on the arrow, you have different mode for the Varga. So this is the Varga. You also have access to the Varga from here. So if you click on this different here, you will have different Varga. I'm not going to explain what a Varga is. If you don't know, ask an AI, it will explain to you. So aspect. So for aspect, we have normal aspect, from what most Western astrologers know, which here it is called Tajika, but Tajika astrology is almost the same as Western aspect. It's just a little bit more complete in my opinion, and that's why I'm using that. But it's basically the same thing, or the same aspect, and you can read that exactly like you would read a Western Western chart of aspect. I haven't added directly the aspect to the chart itself, mainly because I really hate reading aspect on charts. I prefer to do it visually, and I really don't like when we see this chart with all those aspects on it. I find it very ugly, and I have kind of like a distaste for things that isn't stylish, and I really don't like this chart with all those lines all over. But this is just my preference. I may add it anyway just for people who like it, but currently it's not available. So I will probably add it anyway, just when I have the time, but I really didn't like this way of seeing a chart. So relationship here, it's basically the same screen but with explanation. So we have the orb, the Europa is the strength, we have the type of aspect, and then we have the yoga, which is something more complete than just if you don't know about that, read about it, but it's basically a yoga which can be used for horary astrology, and I haven't used it as much as I want to be sure it's working, but many people in my groups of astrologer thinks it does work in practice. I cannot confirm it because I haven't used it enough. And so I forgot to mention for the planetary age here, if you want, for example, to, let's say you have the Atma Karaka, which is Jupiter. Let's take another example. Let's say you want to know about your mother, or something linked to the mother will be triggered in your chart. Here you select here MK, which is the Matru Karaka, and you will see something highlighted here. So a certain period of Michael Jackson is highlighted here. So for example, here the mother of Michael Jackson, if she would still be alive, we would have some kind of event regarding that. If he's dead, that would mean maybe we would know an event about a mother, or maybe, I don't know. When that person is dead, it's a bit different, but it may still happen for some reason. So if you click on that, you will have also the sub-periods connected to it, and it's already calculated. So this is interesting if you want to find something much more easily. You can have the cusp also. Let's say you want to know about the fourth cusp, which would be also his mother. Here nothing gets highlighted for some reason, because that's also Saturn, Lord of the fourth house. And basically I forgot to mention, but here by default the cusp are in the Vedic mode, which means, or Vedic mode, or the way my teacher explained it, which is basically that cusp are a point in the chart. So in classic astrology, Western, we have cusp. We have cusp only for the ascendant and the 7th house, and basically everything else is usually let's give the setting right away. So you can actually use it in Western traditional house. Here, if you want, I actually added the option for completeness. So you will see here, for example, the first house is between cusp 1, which is the ascendant, and cusp 2. You can see the house here, and this is not whole house here. This is tradition. This is Placidus. Actually, let's call what most people call Placidus, because Campanus is almost the same thing. It's not that much different. But this is what most people use Placidus like in Europe and in astrology circles. So for example, in my Facebook groups, which I do a lot of reading, almost everyone uses this type of chart. So the first house here you can see is here between these two I forgot the name for that, sorry. So Saturn here is in the 2nd house. It's between these two lines. Finally, I found my words. So between these two lines, you have Saturn. So it's in the 2nd house if you would use, let's stick to Placidus, if you would sign-based traditional astrology, which is what is used in Western Europe, but in more traditional group which prefer to use old techniques. And I don't think they are old, I think they are original, because time, in my opinion, isn't as we think it is. So I tend to think that older means more technology advance, and newer means what we have currently, which is far from accurate. So here you can see, sorry, let's stick to tropical astrology here. You can see that Saturn is in the second house, and it wasn't, right? Let's confirm that it was in the third, or what the fuck is happening? Why is coming back to, it was in the second house too, but for, yeah, it's quite complicated to explain. This is the kind of example you need to prepare in advance, because this is quite complicated to explain. But basically, sometimes it doesn't fall in the same houses because it's not the same way we calculate things, and we would need a full video to explain that, because this is not easy to understand. But basically, this is the chart Western astrologers use most of the time, unless they use traditional astrology. And a lot of more people recently started to use this Western way, this original way. So I think I explained most of the screen here. Let's go to theme. So appearance, you can choose a lot of different themes, and not every, some theme, the contrast is not worked on fully, so it's not fully worked on. I need to edit a bit more some theme, but most of them works. And so this is nice to have. Sometimes there's a few details that doesn't appear correctly, and this is a lot of work. When I installed that at first, I was like, this is easy, but then when everything starts to change and you have to update every screen, it takes a lot of work. So not every theme works, but we still have some choices. So there is two main themes, dark and light, and with different colors. So this is a setting screen. You can, one of the features of this software, which is quite interesting, is that it remembers everything. So if you close the software and you, just like Chrome basically, if you have used the restore session from Chrome, when you save a session with every tabulation, you can do the same thing basically with this software. So for example, here, let me show you that. So let's say I want to load a folder of chart in the panel. So this is the panel where you have your chart and you can switch. You can use the load folder here, or you can directly put that here, and it's supposed to load this folder. I never tested that on Windows. Hopefully it works on Windows too. Otherwise I would have to stop the video. It's loading, but it's not loading as smoothly as on my Linux machine. So will it work or not? It seems to have crashed. What the fuck? So this is a big fail, and it worked. It took a lot of time actually, so there's still a bug. Now it should actually warn you when it's loading something, and here it's not warning you. So I haven't fully tested the software on Windows yet. I was working on Linux because it's much easier to program software on Linux than on Windows. So here we have all the chart loaded, and for now this software uses charts similar to Kala software, which is my teacher software, which isn't working because it's going to ask me to pay for it, even if I already did. So, but basically this is the chart. If you have a lot of chart from Kala, you can basically load a folder in it, and it will be like that. I will probably add other type of charts if it's possible, and if those are open source or easily programmable. And so what you can do also is that if you have more than one profile, so here I only have 2, but you can create as many profiles as you want, and you can switch between them. So you can have a profile for some chart, and then, so for example here you could load this here, and you would have 2 different type of folders that you could work with. So it takes a lot of time to load those charts. Probably need to make it a bit better because it seems to block the software on Windows. So here you can work on that, and you can switch between profile, and each profile can actually load more than 50 charts because you can have multiple pages. When you want to search, let's say you have 15 profile or 10 like I was, and you want to search a chart because you don't want to switch between each profile, you can type and you will have you can load from here basically. And they say if you don't have, let's say you search for Donald Trump and you see that there is no chart for Donald Trump, you can search here and you would have your local database here, and you can load the chart from here. And if you want to download a chart, you can actually search the web. If some charts you haven't downloaded yet, but I'm trying to find someone who I don't have the charts yet, because there is so few people now that I don't have the chart of, and so my database is quite vast. But basically if you type a name which you don't have the chart, you can search the web and it will automatically download a chart from the web. So unfortunately I couldn't connect it directly to Astro theme because that's I'm not allowed to do it, but here, so that means you don't have the birth time here. It gives you the date but not the birth time. And then you can actually click here and search for Donald Trump on the web. It will open a web page, hopefully, or not. it is. So it's loading this and automatically it's searching for Donald Trump on Astro theme. So then you can pick up the birth time here. And you can edit the birth time from there in the edit window. So what was it? I don't even remember. 10 a.m. So we paste it there. And you save it. It's quite slow right now. My computer is slowing down so much. And so here the information is updated and we have his right ascendant. For some reason the chart keeps going back to the Aditya. That's because I told him so. So here, this is the section here, we have beginner, advanced. So in beginner mode, we have 3 different settings: Aditya Circle, Tropical and Sidereal. If you click advanced, you will have 6 of them, but you need to apply first. And then you will have 6 options. And this is a bit more complicated, but basically it's the same option but with a different naming scheme. And I explained it in the manual, you can read about it. And so, but let's stay in beginner mode because this is a beginner video, or it's supposed to be. Hopefully it is. What was it? So tropical, let's stay in tropical so we don't confuse everyone with Aditya. So here you can see that he's Leo ascendant and the ascendant is 29 degrees. So just made a pause because my computer was super slow. I was fearing it was my software, but it was actually my VMware workstation. So let's go back to Trump. So let's go back to something. Let's keep presenting simple stuff before we do the best stuff at the end. And so we have a Wikipedia button, so you can click that, Wikibio, and it will load the Wikipedia biography. Hopefully it works. It's been a while I didn't test it. And even the photo actually works. But the presentation at times is a bit annoying. You have to scroll a bit because this is probably the HTML BS at the beginning. But here you have his biography, so you can load it there instead of going directly on Wikipedia. And I plan to do a bit more than just that here, but this is just the starting point. Remember, this is a light version. The pro version will have a lot more things added to it. So here we can also open in color, but to open in color, first you have to have color, and you need to browse the border to his location. So, for example, you would go to C in your drive, in color, hit and select the executable. and then it should work in theory. At times it doesn't, but I'm just joking. Yeah, it should work. So but we never know. With computer we have to be careful. Not that it's important, but I'm just joking. So where were we? So we have, let's keep doing the basics. So here you have the search, you can sort. So if you press that, it will sort all by alphabetical order. You can change by date, you can change by dot A added, and then it goes back. Usually you can also select some chart. Let's say you want to delete some of them. For example, you don't like Donald Trump, you can delete him. And usually he also disappears from your real life when you do that, hopefully. You can also delete all charts if you want, but we are not going to do that. So then you have a transit ring that you can add. I didn't add yet the aspect from the transits, but it's supposed to come at some point in the Pro version. So here you can see basic aspects. So for example, Donald Trump, we have the moon, which is transiting his Cancer side here, which is why I think he's doing all those stupid decisions most of the time. And the reason why I think it's connected to him, because in the Aditya Circle, this actually falls in Leo, so it's a bit different. But let's stay simple. But basically, you have transits here. If you click that ring, then here I already said this is. You can actually, yeah, that's important. If you want to understand the Aditya but you're not sure yet, you can use both at the same time. This is not recommended to use both at the same time, but if you want to compare, you can still do. And so, for example, you would see here that in why it's said it's Jim Kaison. Yeah, I suppressed Trump. Actually, I thought it was Trump chart. It's not Trump chart. I don't know who this is. And when you don't know who this is, you can actually do that. You can go on Google Image, you click here, and you will have an image of who this is. So this is one of the guy in Heroes. The Chinese guy, he has some afflictions there. In the Aditya Circle, he would be Leo, and Sun in Cancer. Mars would be in Virgo, not in Leo. So you can compare that and make your own opinion, which is more correct. Or you can do the inverse. You put in the Aditya circles, and you would have the tropical at in the outer ring. So this is interesting for those who want to compare both zodiac. I don't have one for sidereal compared to tropical, but I could add that if some people request it. My mic was was lost. So let's remove this. Let's present something more interesting, which will probably interest all those who study with Ernst. And those who haven't studied with him, that would be a discovery, but a very interesting discovery, I think. So here, if you go here, you have all the shortcuts, and one of the most interesting is this Toggle Retinue Rings. So when you click F5, you will have this Retinue Rings, which is made for the Aditya Circle. But if you want, you can also use it in tropical. It's still working, but it's working from a tropical frame. from the tropical classic frame, because both are tropical circle. So here, for example, we have James Caimson, who have the sun in Varuna, so that would make it quite a feminine person or more based on intuition. And with the retinue ring, you can see that it's in the male part of the Hora. So the Hora is a division in two, and then we have the division in Trimsamsa. And what basically Ernst did was that each aura is connected to a house. So for example, the sun here falls in the second aura, but it's connected also to the second house. So you can see here the houses lights up when we go to a sector. So you can click on a sector and it will tell you which house is connected to the sun in this aura. If you go here, you have another connection to the 8th and 7th house. You can see here it was light up. And if you click on the center, you will see all 8 house connection. So for example, if you have someone coming into your office and you're an astrologer, and that person talks to you about even being catastrophic, or someone getting an inheritance or money from the dead, which is basically the 8th house description, or war, or something which is secret, or whatever the 8th house means to you, because at times we have different meaning of houses also. And so if you click that, you will see every possible Aditya retinue which can be connected to this. And for some reason the aura doesn't light up, so that means I'm missing something here. Because it should light up also the aura, but it's not for some reason. I need to correct that. But you can also see it here. For example, here for this person, if you double click and you go to the Trimsamsa, the graph, which shouldn't be called graph, it should be called house activation, like it is right here. And so here you can see every 8 house activation from each planet or ascendant. So you have the ascendant, the sun, the moon, Mars, and Rahu and Ketu. So if you go here, you can see, for example, if you click on Rahu, you will see that here, actually, in Chitrasrana, you can see the 8th house connection is lighting up here. So if you have an affliction there, and it doesn't, if you would have some problem with regarding the 8th house. And you can read about that, it gives additional meaning. So this is from Ernst's course. So yeah, for example, here he has Mars in Ugrashena, which is an affliction, and you can go to the Avastha screen and look up here. And by the way, if that's something I should explain too, if if the screen is not good enough, the display scale is not good, you can change that. And if it's still not good, you can change the font size. And usually you change it all because you're a bit lazy like me and you like to change it all at the same time, and then you can see more clearly the screen, or should, if you select the good one. So which one it is? Info description is probably this one. Let's info description, nope. Button control, panel titles, probably that. Let's try. And it's not. Info description then. still not. So table headers, title bar, maybe it's that. Table and data. Yeah, this is it. But it's still not good enough for me. Why is that? I'm supposed to be in a 2K screen. Supposed to be. I don't know, maybe it's a bug, I need to correct that. On my Linux it was working. So yeah, for some reason it's not. I'm going to check that out later. But basically, let's put some default feedback here. So I have something workable. So you go to Mars here and you see that Mars is on by Mercury, and you see the total here on Vimshottari. And if you would use Tropical Zodiac, you would have the Affliction going in Leo. So for those who have used Ernst software, the differences in the Avastha is that I display which sign is actually afflicted directly, and this is not done by Ernst software. What's next? So I was explaining that if you have an affliction there in the Aditya Circle, you can look it up and understand what it means. So for example here, this means someone is fundamentally weak, unable to change or confront life's difficulty. And you can see that in the actor also, that is not too strong. But he has some ego also. It looks like actually Trump chart. Is it? What's it? It was actually Trump chart. For some reason it wasn't updating. So at times there's a few bugs that I didn't fully correct. At times the chart isn't loaded correctly, like you saw here. So this is not perfect, of course. Probably will be or not. So let's talk of other things. What's next to do? So we have the Aditya Circle, the Trimsamsa and the Hora. We have more descriptions there. And what I said here is a very complete system. I just scratched the surface, but it's a very powerful system. And then we have, let's remove this. We actually have also something interesting here for the elements. So if you want to check out the elements, we have some chart pie here. You can check out, for example, if you, let's see mine, for example. So in my chart, I don't have Mercury, not Mercury, but air sign. So you see here there is no air. And as you can see, I'm not such a good person to talk. I'm not super great at that. So this is the elements calculated. In the Aditya Circle, you can also use it in the Tropical Classic, and you will see here I have so much air element, and then I can talk so fast and so easy. Or not. I'm supposed to be Gemini, and I think I'm much more actually Varuna, which is the equivalent of Cancer. But this is personal opinion. Then you have the human design chart. Human design, for those who know, this is a chart which is calculate 88 degrees away from the sun, which means that let's go to Tropical so it's easier to understand, because that would be too much at the same time. Let's go back to Tropical. Yeah, it's on Tropical already. So here is Sun in Pisces. In the human design, basically the Sun, you take the same chart, but you go back 88 days backward, but this is 88 degrees of the Sun. So basically that would be the equivalent of doing this, even though it's not exactly that, because this is a day based on our calendar. So if I would remove 88 days, I would have something very close to human design chart, but not exactly the same. And so this is basically what this human design chart do. It removed 88 days from the Sun. And so that would mean I would be Sagittarius, which is almost a square away from the original sign. So if I click human design, you can see here my Sun is in Sagittarius, and it was about 3 degrees in Pisces. If you remove 88 degrees, it's about that, because you add around 2 degrees and you would get Sagittarius. You can do the math and you will see it match. And basically human design chart is something that is not used even by a human designer, because they use the gates and all the other description for the chart. And I was testing that a lot, and I found it quite interesting, because in some chart, for example, I usually look at a lot of actors who play very dark characters, and at times their chart is quite fine, and at times I wonder why their chart are so good if they play all the time some kind of devilish character. It doesn't match. And so, for example, Robert Knepper, which in human design he has a very bad chart actually, but this is a human design, or because you can actually calculate both, and in both it's actually bad actually. Yeah, in tropical the human design chart is almost the same, but that's not what I wanted to do. So this is just so you know who this is, because the name probably doesn't ring a bell, but this guy play usually some kind of nasty character. And in his chart, if you look at the tropical chart, you don't see much. If you use the same technique as me, basically. If you don't use, you may find something ugly. Like for example, Pluto is near Virgo. That's usually what most Western astrologers will see as something horrible, but I don't see it that way. But basically I was testing a lot of technique using tropical astrology and then human design chart, and I often found that people who are supposed to be bad at times, because you see it on screen or you see it in real life, and you don't see that in the chart, at least in the normal chart, but it does appear in the human design chart a lot. I haven't tested yet on statistic, but I plan to do it when I have free times, but I don't have currently. But here you can see that there is some affliction, and you can use actually the shame screen to see that there is a moon and Mercury shame by Ketu conjunction. So this is a screen I didn't explain fully, but you have the shame screen, which calculates shame based on what it's supposed to happen according to a teacher. And you also have the yoga, exchange yoga, which is quite important. You can click on the exchange yoga and it will give you a basic general description of it. I plan to add a more complete description, but here it's general. It doesn't explain all yoga, it just explains you generally what this means for this particular type of yoga. So you have also you should see here that when you have a plus, how does it call it? I don't remember, but you can see the difference here. When you have shame, it's not the same symbol that is used. This is the exclamation marks that is used when you have shame. So the sun here, Mercury, sorry, I thought the sun wasn't shame, it was weird. Mercury is shame by the sun here because it's with Ketu and the sun at the same time, so it creates a shame combination. And in that, in most of his movie we see, or series, we see that he tends to be or play a character which is traumatized. Exactly like this guy here, but this guy here, it happens in his normal chart. If it's working correctly, yeah, it's working correctly. Here you can see the same affliction in the same sign actually, and these great problems. There's some shame on Venus in a sign. And this guy play also usually bad characters, I think. So I think I did that. So what's next to do that I haven't presented yet? So yeah, this is important. So if you want to add a chart, you have two ways to add chart. You can go here, add a chart, type name, every information, and then you click on the map to load the place, and it will calculate the latitude, longitude automatically, the offset, and so you click create chart and you have your chart basically. And it's usually quite simple to do. If you can't do it, may do another tutorial about that, but I think most people will be able to enter a chart name. And so, but if you're lazy like me and you don't like to do that, you go on Google, for example, here, and you have someone here, you paste this information directly here, and you remove what is not needed, and you give him a name, the town, the state, and whatever information. If you don't have the time, you don't put the time. I don't have it, and it will work. It will just warn you that you didn't enter a time, and it should work. Most of the time it works. Here it's giving you that there is no birth time, so it's defaulting to noon, which is okay, and it's creating a chart automatically. And see here, you can see Panda 1 have almost the same chart as Robert Knepper. Where was he? That bitch. I don't find it anymore. Here. So you can see basically the same chart but different ascendant because he was born at a different time. And so yeah, it works basically. At times there is a few bugs. It can be that you fall upon a time zone which is not available on my database, so do check out when you create a chart, be sure you have the right ascendant. And I think this is true for most software, even the most reliable one. At times the chart can be off because DST setting and time zone is very hard to program. It takes a lot of time, and even the most reliable software at times can have a wrong information in their database because this is very hard to program. It takes a lot of times. So be sure to check that out in case. I'm going to optimize that. It's not fully optimized yet, but it's good enough to be used in a software. And then you have the button now. If you press that, you have a now chart. So it calculates based on your IP information. So or your information on your operating system, but I think it's only on IP. I change it to IP based, and so it calculates this chart for now, basically with where you live. And so this is used for transit, but this is a simple transit, but I like to do it that way also. You have the same information as with a birth chart. The full transit screen will be in the Pro version, but this is still better than nothing. You can still add chart and view the same information as a normal chart. And you can use, actually one of the things you can use for horary astrology is there. And you have the yoga there, so you could actually use this for horary reading. If you know about horary, you would have the yoga calculated automatically here. You have the success yoga. So for example, let's say someone asks a question about a meeting, you would look at the Lord of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter and Mercury, and they are both together. So if you have a Jupiter-Mercury conjunction, which is here, Ishtara applying yoga, 7 degrees from exact, so event manifesting, so something should manifest. Maybe I'm going to meet my lovers. If I would have asked this question, this would have been a positive event, but you will see maybe negative events at the same time here. So Venus separating yoga from Venus and with Jupiter. So, but yeah, basically this is it, and you can see the total here: 10 failure, 10 success, 4 failure, disruption yoga 8. So yeah, this is a something quite complicated, but this is basically horary astrology applied on a now chart. What I wanted to say, let's go back to Trump chart. Do we have this chart again? Or let's do Steve Jobs. So let's say I want to search something. I can search his Astro theme chart to confirm that, let's say I'm not sure his birth time is correct. I can click that, or Astro Data Bank, and you would have this information. You can go on Wikipedia, which is basically the same thing as that, Google image, and then you have the Dasha, which you can search. Let's say you want to search on Google what Steve Jobs was doing around 97. Here you click on this Dasha here, and you will have this Dasha here, 97, and you can do that also if you go a little bit further. Here, for example, you would have that. So, but it doesn't seem to work here for some reason. A bug again, that's great. Didn't correct that. It's half working, better than nothing, I guess. So let's say you want to search in 2003 what he was doing. You click that and it goes to Steve Jobs. It's typing his name, but it's also giving you a custom range, so it's searching between 2003 to 2004, which is basically what you asked him to do, which was this. And so, for example, here Steve Jobs, the Figaro, was talking about that here, Stanford, whatever he was doing at that time. And you can also ask, so let's say you want to use AI, you have a copy prompt here and you paste that into any AI you have, which I don't have any right now open. Let's stop it because I'm probably going to show you something I don't want you to see. Where is that button? Let's make a pause. So we are back, and I have Cloud Code open. So Fable is disabled for some reason, that I'm not going to explain that. It's pasted, so when you copy the prompt, it gives you this prompt. What significant events happened to Steve Jobs between this date? And then you can click, and you would have basically a pre-made fetch for you. And he's searching the web. So this is a very easy way to use AI at a very beginner levels. Are we going to wait so long? So yeah, Alpha Recovery from Cancer. Let's see that actually 2004 and 6. Is there something here? 2004 and 6. So you could use this, for example, to use planetary age here, match something there, or whatever you want, basically. But that would be too long to search, but yeah, I just wanted to see that. Maybe the human design one, you would see something more obvious. So yeah, basically that was this search here, and you can search also for planetary age here if you want. You can copy the prompt for an AI search. So I think I showed basically everything here. The find chart, yeah, you can find chart based on criteria. So by planet in a sign, it's using the Aditya Circle, but you can use it with Tropical also. And then you have filter by retinue, which is what Ernst just taught recently. So you can search, for example, 5 degrees of Mitra, which is the equivalent of Gemini. You can search that, and it's going to show you the results in your database. So you can set the path here, or you can set the path in the default folder here. Usually it's better to set it here than set it over there, but both should work. I'm not going to show you that because I have a lot of private files in my database, and I would need to edit the video then, and I don't want to. So I think I presented almost everything. So appearance, display, font size. I may need to work on that a bit more. This is recent addition, so it may not completely work. And I'm going to also add colors, so that if some theme doesn't work perfectly with contrast, like for example this theme here in yellow is a bit horrible on the eyes. I didn't fully work on that yet. So please be kind, not everything is working perfectly yet, but there's so many features that you wouldn't be able to use anywhere else, so I wanted to release it anyway. To see here the contrast is not perfect and it's a bit annoying. So usually I use the blue, the pink is working, the purple is working fine, the cyan, dark cyan is not working perfectly, dark green it's okay. In the light umbers, in the light theme it's working, in the dark it's too bright. I never tested the orange, and basically why is the orange is not available on the dark theme. Never tried the light orange. It takes a lot of time to load, hence why I don't test them, because don't have the time. It takes a lot of time to test it. Oh, the orange is not so bad actually. it's actually good. So this is a light theme, and when you change the light theme, it will also change the South Indian chart. There is 2 South Indian charts. There is a white one and a dark one, and that's it. I used to have at least 20, 50, 25 or 30 chart like that, South Indian chart design, but I removed them because it was a hell to work through all of them. But I may add them back later. But it's a mess to work with them because yeah, it's very hard to program. So the South Indian chart here is used for the sign. You have the wheel, which you can use for anything, and it's the most complete. It's the only one with the retinue, and when you have the retinue, you also have the pie chart for the retinue. So here it gives a graphic here, or the Trimsamsa graphic. You have the North Indian chart if you want to use it. Not many use it in my groups, but I love to use it for house interpretation. It's very nice. And this is the most used in my groups. And what I wanted to say, yes, you can click on the planet also, and it will give you a description of everything. So it's actually quite nice theme. Actually, the orange is very nice. Very nice. I think the white theme looks a bit better than the dark theme, even if I love the dark theme also. And then you have also the description of it actually color the being which is in this planet beings in the Trimsamsa. So here we don't see it there, but it's in the Trimsamsa of the aura of Elapatra, which is at the end of Indra, the last 15 degrees of Indra. And in the Trimsamsa, it's in Shrutra, which I cannot pronounce correctly, unfortunately. So yeah, you can do that. You can also, which is something nobody does but me, you have also the description of the body parts here if you want to understand physiology. So you have the Rishi story, attribute, core question. I invite you, if you want to understand those descriptions, to look at my website. I have actually a better description on my website than even this, besides the Trimsamsa and Aura, which doesn't exist on my website yet. The description is only available on the software. But the Aditya description are more complete on the website. Actually, if you have the exploration version, the paid version of my website. So what's next to explain that I haven't yet explained? Probably more to it than that. You have the manual, which is quite complete. I already explained a bit that. You also have this manual fully available on the website in a better, more design way, but it's quite good on the software also. So you can see every part. Maybe I missed something here. That would be the moment to see if I missed anything. So this is a drag and drop feature, South Indian chart, wheel view, dual rim settings, retinue, the houses. So yeah, that's something I forgot. So here you can actually, in the wheel view, because this is a wheel setting, if you click F9, you have different so F9 is also used for my software to stop the recording, so I will have to press manually. So when you press F9, you have the cusp which appear or disappear, and this is quite nice to have if you want to see every cusp, or if you use Western astrology houses, you won't need them because it will display by default. But basically you have the houses here, the cusp, sorry, which is different from the houses, but if you don't know about that, I'm not going to explain fully what that means. So I was here, what did I not explain yet? So this is the settings. There's a lot of setting in the software which may appear complicated, not easy to understand. So you can click on a sign, on a planet, you can click on a part of the retinue beings. Nothing in chart. Yeah, that's what I forgot. So when you click there, you have the chart made with this ascendant. So Steve Jobs, for example, his ascendant is Twashta. So the first house should be here. But when you click on that, it gives you the first sign, second sign. So for example, let's go back to Tropical Zodiac. That would be more easy to understand. If I click 1 here, it's going to Aries, because Aries is the first sign. So it configures the chart for this ascendant. So this can be used for rectification. So let's say you are not sure of the birth time, and you want to know how the chart would look like if you was Sagittarius ascendant. Click the 9 here, which is the 9th sign, and you have Sagittarius ascendant. And so you can rectify based on what you see. You see, for example, Saturn would be in the 12th house. Jupiter would be in the 8th. If you was Cancer ascendant, you would have Jupiter on his ascendant. So you can switch that. This is often used in Vedic astrology, because in Vedic astrology we often read a planet from any point of view. So this can be useful if you want to switch back and forth and you don't want to use your imagination, which can be hard to do for some people. So in the Aditya Circle, actually, this is even more useful because Ernst has taught a lot on the structure course, and in the structure course, every point of view is important. So, especially if you use the retinue beings at the same time. So, let's give an example. For example, you have Sun in data here, and it's connected to the 5th house. It's connected to the 5th house because it's lighting up here, 5th house, but it's because the Lord of the Sun is Indra here from the 5th house, and you can see the Indra part of the chart is lighting up, and this is more easily seen from the data point of view. So this chart here, we have Twashta ascendant, so we don't really see that it's the 5th house. But if we put the chart from data, which is the equivalent of putting data as ascendant, we see the 5th house directly in the 5th, in Indra. So this is quite interesting if you want to understand the structure course. And then if you click on Eti light up Varga and Pusha, which is equivalent of Capricorn and Aquarius. So you click on here and you have the 10th and 11th house lighting up, directly here, so it's quite useful to see that way. So this is how the retinue houses are calculated, and you can see here also, if you look at the sun in 80, you can see it's connected to the 10th house. Here the sun is in the 10th connection. So you have basically every tools possible to have, and even automatic calculation, so you can see some afflictions there. That's why at time he was a complete asshole. It is quite something when it's afflicted. And here it's not too much afflicted, it's actually very good in itself. So this is it. And another thing, so let's go back to the North Indian chart. In the North Indian chart, actually added in the South Indian chart, sorry, I added the North Indian chart as a way to see the houses. So for example, Steve Jobs, his ascendant is Twashta, which is the equivalent of Libra, and this is it. In the South Indian chart, it's not as house centered, so I decided to inside it, since we have this useless square which is often not used, I added a chart here with this. So if you click on this, you would have different ascendant based on what you want. And this is sign here, this is not number, this is not house, this is sign. So if I click first, it's Aries or Data. Aries is the first sign, Data is the first sign in the Aditya circles. If I zoom in, I see the sun is in the first house. The first house in the North Indian chart is always at the top. I don't use it that often. I thought I would use it more, but I left it there anyway if someone wants to play with that. And if no one wants to play with it, I may remove it. But I think I would use it more, but I prefer to use a wheel chart currently. I think the wheel chart is much more complete because of the rings, which gives a lot of useful information. So yeah, that's basically the most important feature if you use this software. I think it's to use this. It's very accurate. I've been testing this for the past 2 weeks, I think, and I find so much things interesting. Like for example, Ali Carter, which also has the sun in 80, and I made an article about that, where I explain that sun in Data is can be like Aries, can be very dominant, but when it's in 80, it can be even more, as it's connected to the 10th and 11th house. And so this connects to many things, and if you use it, and you don't need to know Ernst course to use it. Even of course it's much better if you know how to use it. But if you use the software, you would be able to use it anyway. Just like some people use human design software, and they see the numbers and they try to understand and they see if it matches or it doesn't, which is how I learned human design at first. So I think I did show everything, but probably not. I'm at 51 minutes. It's probably too much already, but let's keep going for sake of completion. So you have the shortcut here also if you want to learn the shortcuts. You have the Varga on the left here. I think I already said that. Yeah, I added something here, but it's temporary, but I wanted to add it. If you go here to placement and view, you will have the nakshatra placement. I have a better, much better nakshatra screen, but it's in Pro. I don't intend to release it in the free version. The free version, it's not free, but it's open source. You have the card of truth also screen here if you want to basically have this information. And you can copy to clipboard here. So for example, let's say you want to ask AI about it, you copy it and you use an AI to understand. So if you copy that and you ask a question about it. Yeah, you also have the language here, so it's just for the sign and it's not in Aditya mode, it's in Tropical or Sidereal or whatever mode you want. And when you click on it, when you change the language, let's say you want to speak French, for example, you would have this. So I think it's useful even if not the software, if the software is still in English. Let's say you have a client which only speaks this language, and for example if you are Chinese and you speak English, you can put that in Chinese and you can still use it as a professional and talk about it for this person. So not everyone wants to learn every language, but yeah. I plan to add translation also for the software in its completeness, but it's going to take a lot of times. So maybe in 2 months we will have complete translation for every language, most language, not everyone. And so that's basically it. I think let's go back to the end if I missed anything. I think that was it. Yeah, the setting, I didn't explain all settings. Yeah, this setting is actually quite important to explain. So here we have the view. Also in the setting, if you apply it there, it should stay at startup, but I think there's still a few bugs. Probably in 2 weeks I will have resolved this. This is not important bug, but basically it's the ability to restore any state you want. So let's say you want here you want the Trimsamsa to start always there instead of the houses. You pick this option here in the houses, for example, and it would start up all the time in these houses. And I will actually I discovered a function here. If you click the lock, it should stay lock. I haven't tested. I thought the AI didn't implement it. Actually there is a lock. If you lock it, it should stay there even if you change it. So this software is programmed that if you don't lock it and you change it here, it doesn't stay. It's just it will stay whatever you choose. If you close here, it's going to start up in houses again. Whatever you left it, whatever state you left it, it should start there again. If you lock it there in the houses and you apply, it will always start in the houses. Whatever, even if you click here and you stop the software, it will go there. But I haven't verified it yet, so we need to test if it's actually working. If it's not, in the next update you will have it. So here you have the settings for the cusp, if you want to show all the cusp, only the angle or whatever you want. the pie chart for the elements, if you want to show it or not, retinue, if you want to show it or not, outer planets, which are Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, the chart you want to use, font size, display scale, zodiac calculation. So I didn't explain that. I won't have time to explain that because this is very complicated, but basically, let's say you want to use the Aditya, but with the normal name. So this is data. Data is equivalent of Aries. You actually see the sign already there. But if you need an additional help and you don't like data, you can use the Aditya Circle with Aries. And it can be used that way. Some people disagree about it. I don't. I'm open to everything. And I actually use it that way at times. But it's recommended that you use the Aditya Circle's names because otherwise you will confuse it with tropical naming. And that's why it's not that it's advanced, it's that the more option you have, the more confused you can be. So I actually locked it here. It should be locked actually in here. Because also when you double click it, someone who doesn't know it, they may double click it and for some reason they see Aries and they see what the fuck, isn't this Aditya Circle? Why Aditya Circle is Aries? It should be data. And so they call me and they send me a PM and they tell me my software is buggy when it's actually an option. And that's why I actually locked it here, beginner, advanced. When you are advanced, you can actually see the full option, and there is 6 of them. Each, so for example, even if I actually have a friend who wanted this option. So this is the Sidereal with Aditya naming. So for example, you can use the Sidereal with Aditya names here, and you will see this this symbol and the button with a different color when this is applied. So for example, here Alilata in the Sidereal Zodiac, in the Sidereal Zodiac, she has the sun in Aquarius. If you use the Aditya, sun Aquarius means Pusha. So this is the same thing, but with a different naming scheme, but the naming scheme is attached to your memory. So if you switch back and forth, it will confuse you unless you are someone who has a lot of imagination or a lot of skills, and he can actually learn 3 different things and not be confused by it. But very few people has those abilities, so I would recommend you stick to one option just for being less confused at first, because even for me, I think it took me about a week to get used to it, and a week is not a lot, but for me it's quite a lot actually, because I can see things very easily, and because I use it all the time, so that's also the reason. So here, prefer at start, unless you are already an expert in astrology or you have too much ego and you prefer to use everything at once, which is a possibility. So you have the zodiac mode, you can choose here. If you use sidereal astrology, you can choose the Ayanamsha here. For example, if you use True Shitra, which I think one of my friends use, True Shitra. Here for the Vimshottari Dasha, you can choose whatever you want. So you can choose the Ayanamsha for the Vimshottari independent of the chart itself. If you don't know what an Ayanamsha here, you shouldn't use Vedic astrology or sidereal Vedic astrology. Planetary Age, this is a panel on the right, which you can transform into another Vimshottari calculation, and you also have whatever setting you would want to choose. Here, Nakshatra coordinate, this is a special setting which isn't used by many people, but it's quite complicated. If you don't know about that, you would rather not know, because it's fucking impossible to understand unless you have unless you work at NASA or you are very good at space program. Placidus, this is a house system that you can choose here, and you have the way it's displayed on the screen. If you are coming from Western mindset, use the Western standard, Western houses, or the traditional way. Card of Truth, this is for the thing you saw earlier. You can actually choose which order you want. And this is a new thing that Ernst came up with, the way the Card of Truth is ordered. And then you apply. So if you apply, you have a lot of things differently now. We are in Siddhar Astrology with an Ayanamsha, which is this one, True Shitra. So hopefully this is working. I haven't tested a lot the Sidereal astrology because I don't use it a lot. I try to make it as much as accurate as possible, but if it's not working or if you see some bugs, please warn me and I will update it. I plan to work a bit more on it when I have the time, but yeah, so basically this is what we have currently available, which is a lot for a light version. So thank you for watching, and hopefully you liked this video and you watch all of it because it's a very short video. Thank you, and good sleep after all this work.